Okay, I wanted to definitely address our particular situation with our very autonomous friend. She, of course, is in fight mode. We are seeing a lot of physical behaviors, a lot of fights for autonomy. Everything is just no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. She's looking for control, and we do want, in a sense, want to give her some control back. We not everything has to be a battle with her. It's just not worth it. You're draining your energy, and she's always going to fight at 100%. So let's take a little bit of a step back and think about the things that she doesn't want to sit down at snack to have snack. That's something that she can be in charge of. And if she misses snack, that is something that is unfortunate, and she might cry and scream about it. But at the end of the day, it's her choice, and that's a natural consequence. Maybe tomorrow she won't choose that. So I definitely wanted to address, so we think of discipline as like sometimes being punitive, or, well, that's not appropriate, I have to address that. Yes and no. A lot of inappropriate behaviors can be addressed with natural consequences, meaning we're not really putting the consequence on the child, the natural consequence of them being like, well, you're throwing a tantrum and you missed the story. That's sad. Maybe you can listen to the story in a little bit. We're not giving into the behavior. We're not disciplining the behavior by punitively shaming the child or putting them somewhere because they're not acting the way we want them to act. So with that being said, discipline comes from the word disciple. And disciple means to guide and teach. So we don't have to feel the pressure of correcting a behavior all the time, or teaching the lesson or lecture on why this child is acting inappropriately. And I can't let them know that that's okay. That's experience. And sometimes a 2 and a 3-year-old need to go through that experience of not getting what they actually want because they're throwing a tantrum. Because then what they're learning is, oh, my screaming doesn't get me what I want. But when they're ready, we can talk about it. And that takes part on parenting and teaching. It's really hard. Some teachers cannot hear crying. It's just, it kind of shocks the nervous system a little bit. That's something that you will need to get used to. That's just a part of the atmosphere. There are different things that you can implement to lessen that. You can put soft music on. You can walk away from it. You can have a system with your co-teacher or your aide saying, hey, I'm not really in this space to address the crying, or I just really can't do it right now. I'm gonna walk away, but can you just make sure you're in the vicinity so that this child is safe? And there's gotta be a tag team and a conversation to have about that, so that we're not just walking away, throwing our hands up, but that there's actually a plan on who's gonna move in and what we're gonna do and that kind of thing. Because it is an expectation. We all get tapped out, and that's reality. But we're not just throwing our hands up. We're not just saying, I can't. If you are at that point, we need to have a conversation about that with your admin, with your teachers, because there's got to be a plan to move forward and get you through that, and also the child, because there will always be another child who will be throwing a tantrum. But with this particular child, I wanted to address, and observing, I've had multiple observations now in the environment, and thank you for your ability and your time for me to be able to do that. The parents are very thankful as well. I am seeing a lot of behaviors that are not being intervened. So the child is using their words, no, 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 you can't have it, I'm using it. It's whiny, and it's not maybe the better word that we can use, which we're going to talk about how to give her the dialogue replacement. But there are cycles and signs and symptoms that teachers and personnel are not hearing, or are taking cues as to stopping before it gets to that point. And that's kind of what I want to focus on right now. So when we see that behavior, when we hear a child saying no, and maybe a child is provoking them, or they want to turn, we have to be there in their space in order to prevent it from escalating, because this child will take it into her own hands. We know that she's going to be physical, and that is because her friends are provoking her, and that is true. Her friends are not listening to her. That is true. And yes, she shouldn't use her hands to be physical and hurt a friend, but the bigger problem is that that friend needs help, and we need to be the help to intervene and say, I hear your friend, she's not done with her turn. You can say, can I be next? Because when you're there to support both children, for when you empower them, they're both of their psyches, and then you are lending in support, saying, I'm not going to let this friend take your toy yet. I'm giving you time. I'm letting you stay in control and having this toy and more time with it. And you are stopping their behavior, and also they're learning that they need to wait. And maybe there's better words that they can use. So this definitely happened on my last observation. It was so continuous that I was like, what is going on? And I think a lot of that is adult biases going, well, I know what's gonna happen. She's gonna hurt this friend. And I'm also hearing dialogue of teachers repeating what has happened in the past out loud. And to that, I want to say that's not appropriate. For one, we never say what the child is doing in front of like the peer. Like, it's not a shameful experience for a child to hit another child. We know that's going to happen. That's part of their development. We're there to help them learn it's not okay, and we're here to help them give the replacement behaviors, replacement practice of the words and what our hands are really here to do, and that is to be kind and to help. So with that being said, yes, she may have been hitting this child in the morning, but we're not going to say, don't play with her, she's been hitting you all morning. That is completely inappropriate. So what you're doing is, when we're saying these things out loud, you're actually bringing it up again, and you're keeping that energy surfaced, so that she's like, oh yeah, I did hit her because she wasn't listening, and that did work for me, so I'm gonna keep doing that. And that's a behavior that we wanna squash. We don't wanna do that. The second developmental point to this is that children do not have a duration of time. That's why you hear a lot of, look, I got new shoes, and they got them like 3 months ago. It's just not in their cognition yet. It's not in their development. So something that happened earlier in the day, let alone yesterday and last month, maybe she's been hitting for 3 months. Maybe she's been hitting all week. That has to be left to the wind and not even dealt with again. We're dealing with that on an adult collaboration, going, okay, we're seeing a pattern, we need to deal with it. But we're not talking about that in the classroom. We're not holding that against her. We are focusing on the then, this, and now right in front of us. We're not sharing this with other teachers. It's just not appropriate. Again, even if you're not saying it in front of a child, and you're saying it out loud, and you're finding yourself like frustrated, like, she keeps doing this, I'm trying this, and this is just still happening, that's a conversation that should not be in the classroom. I respect that every adult needs to vent, and they need to express their experiences in order to collaborate, move on, and process through and past that. But that is not appropriate in the classroom space, because what you're doing is you're holding that behavior right here, and you're holding onto it, and we need to let it go so that we can address her initial needs to be able to give her the tools to stop that behavior and to dissolve it. And we're doing that by addressing the antecedent, right? The antecedent. We want to stop the provoking so that it doesn't get to that behavior, and then that practice of her memory of reacting that way is going to dissolve. And it's going to take time, but I definitely wanted to address that, we're here to support her and her peers. And with the kind of attitude and mood that keeps bringing up past behaviors, you're holding yourself in this place of frustration, and we want to help you move past that. So if you do hear that, please support your team, address it. We have to move past that together. We know that, we hear you, we validate that this is a problem, which is why we're all working together to get this child a little bit more under control. And we need her to be in control, to think that she's in control, because we ultimately want her to make better choices. and react less. And how we do that is we support her. We're giving her the discipline. We are the disciple, and we are guiding and teaching her through that experience. So I hope that's helpful for a better perspective on, letting behaviors go, not holding them accountable. They're just not in control of their bodies right now, and we need to just be in that space with them and accept it, support them, and help them move on. And to that, I thank you for your time. I am going to take a break, and we'll come back with another helpful video. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.